She tested her husband's loyalty, but lost her best friend instead. What if the greatest threat to your marriage wasn't another woman, but the one you invited in yourself? Imagine spending years worrying that your spouse might one day betray you, only to discover that your own fear became the reason everything fell apart. This isn't just a story about love. It's a story about trust, suspicion, and the dangerous games people play when fear takes control. Stay until the end because the lesson might change the way you look at every relationship. Grace had always believed she was lucky. She was married to Daniel, a kind, hardworking man who treated her with respect every single day. He remembered birthdays without reminders, helped around the house without being asked, and never made Grace feel unimportant. To everyone around them, they looked like the perfect couple. But appearances don't always reveal what's happening inside someone's mind. Although Daniel had never cheated, never lied, and never hidden anything from her, Grace carried a silent fear. Almost every week she heard another heartbreaking story. A husband who had been faithful for years suddenly left his wife. A family destroyed because of a secret affair. A marriage that everyone admired collapsed overnight. Each story planted another seed of doubt. What if Daniel is only pretending? What if one day someone more beautiful comes along? What if I'm the only wife who doesn't know what's happening? The questions never stopped. Daniel noticed she seemed distracted sometimes. Whenever he asked if something was wrong, she smiled and said everything was fine. But inside, fear continued to grow. There was only one person Grace trusted completely: her best friend Vanessa. The two women had been inseparable for over 15 years. They celebrated birthdays together, went on vacations together, supported each other through difficult seasons. Grace often joked that Vanessa knew her better than anyone else. One quiet evening while sitting together over coffee, Grace finally confessed everything. "I know it sounds crazy," she admitted, "but I'm terrified Daniel might cheat someday." Vanessa looked surprised. "Has he ever given you a reason to think that?" Grace slowly shook her head. "No." "Then why would you believe that?" Grace sighed. "Because every woman who gets cheated on says the same thing. They never saw it coming." Vanessa tried reassuring her, but Grace had already convinced herself. Then she suggested something neither of them should have agreed to. "I need to know for sure." Vanessa frowned. "What do you mean?" "I want you to flirt with Daniel." Vanessa almost laughed. "You can't be serious." "I am. If he rejects you, I'll finally have peace. If he doesn't." She couldn't finish the sentence. Vanessa refused immediately. "Grace, this is a terrible idea." But Grace kept insisting. "It's only a test. Nothing real. Just help me once." After days of persuasion, Vanessa reluctantly agreed. She promised herself it would last only a few weeks. Then everything would go back to normal. Or so she believed. The following week, Vanessa started the plan. She texted Daniel occasionally. Nothing obvious. Just friendly conversations. She complimented his work. Asked for advice. Found excuses to spend a little extra time talking whenever Grace wasn't nearby. Daniel noticed the attention almost immediately, but every single time he responded the same way. Kindly, respectfully, carefully. Whenever Vanessa complimented him, he smiled politely and changed the subject. Whenever she hinted at spending time alone together, he always included Grace. Whenever conversations became uncomfortable, he redirected them without embarrassing her. Most importantly, he constantly spoke about how much he loved his wife. Grace secretly watched everything. First she felt relieved. Daniel wasn't taking the bait. But instead of ending the test, she became even more suspicious. Maybe he's just being careful. "Try harder," she told Vanessa. "Maybe he needs more temptation." Vanessa hesitated. "This already feels wrong." "Please," Grace begged. "Just a little longer." So the test continued. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. The conversations grew longer. Not romantic. Just honest. Daniel listened whenever Vanessa talked about her struggles. He encouraged her career. He reminded her not to lose hope after failed relationships. He treated her with the same kindness he showed everyone else. He never crossed a single line. But kindness has a strange way of touching wounded hearts. Without realizing it, Vanessa stopped pretending. She began looking forward to their conversations. His patience impressed her. His honesty inspired her. His loyalty amazed her. She had dated men who lied, men who disappeared, men who made promises they never kept. Daniel was different. He wasn't perfect, but he was genuine. One afternoon, Vanessa caught herself smiling after reading one of his simple messages. She froze. The feeling scared her. She reminded herself why this had started. It's just a test. But her heart no longer believed that. For the first time, she wasn't acting anymore. She was falling in love. Grace slowly noticed changes. Vanessa no longer gave detailed updates. She seemed distracted. Sometimes she defended Daniel whenever Grace questioned him. Other times she looked strangely emotional after seeing him. Grace ignored the warning signs. She believed the test was still under control. She couldn't have been more wrong. One evening, Vanessa called Daniel. She asked if they could meet. Daniel assumed she wanted advice about something important. They met at a quiet cafe. Vanessa looked nervous. For several minutes she couldn't speak. Finally she whispered, "I'm sorry." Daniel looked confused. "For what?" She took a deep breath. "Everything." Then she revealed the entire truth. She admitted Grace had asked her to test his loyalty. She admitted every compliment, every text message, every planned meeting had all been part of Grace's idea. Daniel sat in complete silence. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Then Vanessa said the words that changed everything. "It started as pretend, but my feelings became real. I've fallen in love with you. I know you love Grace, but I can't ignore how I feel anymore. I think you're the man I've always prayed for." Daniel stared at her in disbelief. Then he calmly answered, "Vanessa, you deserve someone who chooses you freely. But that person can never be me. I love my wife, and loyalty isn't something you prove during a test. It's a decision you make every single day." Without another word, he stood up and walked away. That evening, Daniel went home. He told Grace everything. Every conversation, every confession, every secret. Grace felt the room spin around her. She had expected relief. Instead, she felt overwhelming guilt. The next morning, she rushed to Vanessa's apartment. She expected tears. She expected apologies. Instead, Vanessa quietly opened the door. "I know why you're here," she said. Grace demanded answers. "How could you do this to me?" Vanessa lowered her eyes. "I never planned this. But I can't lie anymore. I really love him." Grace couldn't believe what she was hearing. "He's my husband." "I know. Then stay away from him." Vanessa wiped away a tear. "I will. But I can't pretend my feelings disappeared. I've spent years wondering if good men still existed. Then I met yours." The words cut deeper than Grace expected. Their friendship ended that day. Not with shouting. Not with revenge. But with heartbreaking silence. 15 years of memories. Gone. Daniel forgave Grace. But forgiveness didn't erase the pain. For months, rebuilding trust became difficult. Grace realized something she wished she had understood from the beginning. Daniel had never failed the test. She had. Because while she was searching for proof of betrayal, she had betrayed the trust that held their marriage together. Fear had nearly destroyed the very love she wanted to protect. Sometimes the greatest danger to a relationship isn't another person. Sometimes it's the suspicion we refuse to let go. If someone has never given you a reason to doubt them, would you trust them? Or would you risk losing everything just to prove they were faithful? Remember this. True love cannot flourish where suspicion is constantly planted. Trust is never built through secret tests, manipulation, or emotional traps. When fear controls your decisions, it often creates the very problems you hope to avoid. If this story made you think, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes trust is the foundation of every lasting relationship.